Okay, besties, we need to talk. Are you crippled by fear? Do you worry what people might say about you? Have you ever wanted to start something, say, a YouTube channel, but were afraid of what people might think, what people might say behind closed doors? Well, believe it or not, I too, this confident specimen of a man, or what passes for a man, once was very afraid too. Once I was afraid. I was petrified. No, I'm not going to do that. I too was worried what people might think. I too was worried about the negativity. But now, as a recent graduate from a master's degree, I have the chance, nay, the obligation to help you through your fears, to get you to be the confident, vibrant, amazing self that you were born to be. Oh, you don't believe me, do you? Well, sit your ass down, grab some water, and welcome to class. Hello everybody, my name is Farhad and welcome to a life lesson you wish you learned in school. Okay, I really need to take this off because... Now I'm going to quickly start this video by saying that 3 days ago, I graduated from my master's degree in law. That's right, after 8 years in university, I finally finished. I went to my graduation. It was very nice. I didn't know a single person there because I graduated so much later than all my other friends. If you're wondering why I graduated late, it's because I've been working full time for the past 2 years, so I've been balancing them both. It's kind of a mess. My life's a mess. But that's not the point of this video.
Okay.
So amongst my friend group, I'm known for 3 things. Number 1, I'm a perpetual student, as evidenced by the fact that I was just in university for 8 years. Number 2, I have an unhealthy addiction to rewatching the same sitcoms over and over. And number 3, the most important trait that my friends always mention is I'm generally unbothered or unfazed by anything that anyone ever says to me, ever. Now, I'll be honest, it took me a really long time to get there because I, growing up, was very, very anxious. I was very self-conscious. I was very antisocial. I didn't really have many friends beyond my core group of 3 or 4 at a time. But now, truly at the ripe age of 27 years old, I can't believe I'm 27. Life is fleeting, kids. But now at the age of 27, I truly feel the most confident in myself that I've ever felt. I truly feel the most able to do anything that I want. And I truly feel unfazed by any kind of negativity. There's nothing that people can throw at me at this point that makes me sad, that makes me question what I'm doing, that makes me want to change myself. Actually, the only thing that does scare me nowadays is teenagers or youths, or as I like to call them, yeeth. Don't fight me on this, okay? Hear me out. Tooth, teeth, youth, yeeth.
I am so powerful. My mind, it amazes me sometimes.
So I'm going to get into this video, but before I do, I just want to quickly mention, if you're a new person here to the channel, hello, my name is Farhad. I make relatively regular content on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, it's @Farhad. You can follow me on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel and turn your bell notifications on. What have you got to lose, bestie? And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like because the little Miss Algorithm loves to know about the likes. That's how she measures shit. That's how she does shit. I genuinely don't know anything about the algorithm.
I just never know what I'm talking about until it's over.
When I was younger, I was so paralyzed by fear and worry of other people's opinion that I used to literally be unable to do a lot of things. I used to get really anxious. I used to be really antisocial. I used to hate being around new people. I had a lot of speech difficulties. I couldn't put sentences together. So I think because of that upbringing, I've kind of developed this coping mechanism where I'm just unbothered by people. I've just learned to not be fazed. I've just learned to ignore the negativity. And also, as a side note, I'm saying ignore that negativity a lot as though I was relentlessly bullied as a kid or something. I wasn't. That's not the point of this video. I just mean more internal negativity, getting in your mind, getting worried, getting anxious, that sort of stuff. So this video is really about unlocking that part of your brain where you can start to feel a little bit more free to express yourself, not be so held back by those concerns and those worries and those fears that you have. And I say this because if I didn't do that when I was, in my early to mid 20s, so pretty recently actually, I wouldn't have been able to live a very exciting life. I wouldn't be able to excel at my career like I am now. I wouldn't be able to start this YouTube channel. Like, I would have been so held back by my own insecurities that I just would have got nothing done. And of course, there's a very big difference between online negativity that you might face if you make content or if you, interact with people online compared to negativity in real life, which is far more confronting and far harder to deal with. But I honestly, truly think that once you learn to deal with negativity, life is golden. You can do whatever you want and you just won't care. So today, my dudes, I'm going to share my few tips on how to live an unbothered life and how to get to the point where you're free to follow those decisions without fear of any kind of ridicule or worry or anxiety. So, my dudes, let's get into the tips because these are the fun parts. Oh, God. So the first lesson that I want to say to you to get over that fear of people is really learning that you only have control over yourself. You can't control what someone thinks about you. You can't control what they're going to say about you. And you can't always change their opinion on you. And look, this is a pretty basic lesson and I'm sure you've heard it before, but it's something that you need to reiterate to yourself to really let yourself believe it and really let yourself understand it. A lot of people give this advice, but I think it's absolutely integral to understand that you only really have the ability to control what happens up here, not what happens out there in the world.
That's so true. You have to.
And look, it's a hard truth and quite hard to, come to the realization that there's going to be people out there in the world that may not always like you, that might think you're a bit annoying or whatever it is, but who fucking cares? And this kind of leads me to my next tip or next point, and that is that you only have a very limited time on this beautiful, precious planet. And it's meaningless anyway, so just do whatever it is you want to do. Do you really want to spend your precious time left on this planet worrying about what other people think about you, worrying about what they might say about you, worrying about what they believe in or what they kind of don't believe in or anything like that? Like, do you really want to regret not doing something because you were worried about what people might say about you or even what they might think about you, which is less confronting because they're not even telling you? I had this huge fear of what people might say about me, but I have a much bigger fear of not living my life the way I want to. And I always imagine myself, on my deathbed at the ripe age of 38. Now, this isn't relevant to the video, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When I was in New Orleans in 2015, I think it was, I went to a street tarot card reader and she was like, "Oh, let me tell your future." And I was like, "Okay." And she was flipping the cards around and shit. And she was like, "Bestie, you're going to die in 2032. So,
Honey, you've got a big storm coming."
And I was like, oh, that's pretty soon. That's not that old. I'll be 38. What the hell? Also, side note, even more irrelevant to the story. She kept flipping some more cards and she was like, "Okay, from these I read that you are going to die alone, but you're going to die very successful." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I could take that. I don't mind dying alone if I'm going to be super successful. That sounds awesome." And she kind of looked at me with this horror in her face, "Oh, bestie, no, this isn't a good thing. You should let me teach you how to let love into your life and how to, be with someone." And I was like, I'm good.
You want to know what? No, I am going to leave.
It's nice to have an end date, it just makes life feel a little bit more precious. But anyway, back to the main point of this video. I always imagine myself on my deathbed at the age of 38, wondering what am I going to regret the most? Am I going to regret doing things or am I going to regret not doing things because I was worried about whatever? And that's something that always sticks with me because I just think if I get to that point and I really do have regrets about not doing something or doing something and feeling bad about it or whatever, who cares? A lot of the people that you're worried about will probably be dead by that point anyway. So just get into it now while you're young, while you're healthy, while you still have all your bones working and all your muscles are moving.
That's so true. You have to.
Okay, I've got another tip, but this one I feel like you need to talk to your therapist about before you follow it too closely because it is a little bit unhealthy, but I also think it is very helpful. But long story short, I love disassociating. Hear me out. I love living in my head. I love living in my own little world. I live alone in this apartment and it's the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I have time to really get into myself and really think about things beyond like trivial and like vapid things. Now, that's not to say that conversations with people isn't valuable to me. It's just like giving yourself time to actually think about things, whether it's something creative that you want to work on, whether it's a project, or whether it's just like your stance on certain topics or views on certain things. It's so important to give yourself time to like really be in your own head and really understand those things that you think about more deeply, because otherwise we just have this very vapid, small talky society where no one really has any meaningful conversations to have. And that's not a world I want to live in. Like, I want to have deep conversations with my friends. I want to have really interesting conversations with my friends. I really want to learn their deepest, darkest thoughts so that later in life I can blackmail them to get what I want.
I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first.
What do I need to know what you had for breakfast? Like, that's useless information. And like, why wouldn't I want to spend time with myself? I love myself. Like, have you met me? I am a fun person to be around.
There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
What's better than canceling plans or not making any plans in the first place just so that you can sit at home and do absolutely nothing? Binge watch a TV show you've been meaning to watch, read a book that you've been meaning to read, play a video game that you want to play, research a topic that you've been wanting to understand for a really long time. You know, scrolling through Twitter don't scroll on Twitter, actually. Twitter sucks. So do all the other things, but don't do the social media scrolling. I'll tell you what, nothing is better than that. So one of the other things that you should always remember and always, remind yourself of is that no one will ever be as interesting or as unique or as aware or as special as you. So don't ever change. It's one of those lessons that make you go, well, who cares, right? But it's important because if you let external opinions get you down and change who you are to your core, then what are you even doing? Like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with like your actual desires? You're just becoming assimilated to a society in a way that isn't true to who you are. And that's just not fair to yourself. You need to let yourself out. You need to let yourself explore things and understand people and let people understand you.
You can't get rid of me, bitch!
Every great leader or artist or explorer or discoverer or inventor, every one of them throughout history has been able to tap into something that's so unique to them, that's something that only they can do. And I like to think of that in personal terms too. If you weren't yourself, who will be? Okay, last one. It might be a little bit controversial because it's going to sound very arrogant, I guess. But I think if you've watched my videos before, I'm not really an arrogant person. I'm pretty timid, let's be honest. It's more this mindset that I want to talk to. So just hear me out. You need to have absolute confidence in yourself. You need to have a very high opinion of yourself, even if you kind of suck as a human being. There's that famous quote by Lady Gaga where she said something like,
there can be 100 people in the room.
You can have 100 people in the room.
There could be 100 people in the room.
There can be 100 people in the room.
There can be 100 people in the room.
I probably said this earlier, but there can be 100 people or 1,000 people in the room.
100 people can be in a room and 99 don't believe in you. And just one person believes in you and it can change everything.
And look, we all collectively rolled our eyes at that and thought, okay, Gaga, well, we get it. You're trying to win an Oscar. But it's kind of true. If the more you think about it, it's kind of true,
That's so true. You have
one of the things I've learned is you can't always expect someone else to give you that validation. You need to start giving it to yourself. It may start from other people. Like someone might give you a compliment and you might think, oh God, that's true. Then that's something that you have with you for the rest of your life. But you can't keep going back to other people to expect that validation. So learning to get that validation to yourself is really important because once you do, you don't need it from anyone else and you can live your life the way you want to do it. Now, I do want to just mention, you might watch this video and think, damn, these tips are great. I really understand them. I really connect with them. They make a lot of sense to me. But then, you might wake up tomorrow and be like, well, what the hell was he talking about? I don't even remember that video. What do I have to do now? I feel anxious again. And that's totally fine. Don't ever expect yourself to watch one YouTube video and suddenly feel amazing about yourself and suddenly feel like you can take on anything, because it's going to take a little bit more than that. Constantly coming back to these ideas, constantly coming back to these very obvious tips. I know I'm not making any groundbreaking discoveries in this video. I'm aware of that. It's more that as your bestie, I want to impart that confidence in you because I was in the same position not very long ago where I was very crippled by fear. I was very worried about like external opinions of me. And it took me a long time to get to where I am. And I'm like suddenly in this place where I genuinely feel confident. I genuinely feel very excited and very, full of opportunity. So, don't expect to suddenly change your entire life from one video. If you're ever feeling down again, I suggest you just come back to this video and rewatch it and rehear these same lessons, because the more you tell yourself these, the more you'll be able to connect and the more you'll be able to live and change your mindset and really change the way you react and interact with other people. It's all about a mindset change, and a mindset change isn't going to come overnight, right? You need to constantly remind yourself of these things. You need to constantly have these affirmations, having those things in the back of your mind all the time, because once you get faced with a struggle or kind of pressure or anxiety, eventually those voices will start to get lower and lower and lower, and you can start to really react in a positive and like in a very confident way. And it's not going to be easy, and I always want to remind you that whenever you're feeling down, please just come back to this video and hang out with me for however long this video length is for, and we can just chat, and you and I will chat, and you and I will have each other to constantly remind ourselves that we can do this, we can react positively, we can react confidently, we can be unbothered by other people. Okay, my besties, that concludes this video of how to be the unbothered legend that you were born to be. Remember that if you're unbothered by people, you can finally start to live your life the way you want to live your life. You can finally start to do the things that you were born to do. Now, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your bell notifications, because what have you got to lose? Nothing. Now that's everything I wanted to say today, so until next time, besties, bye. Missing someone.